Yes, today I want to deep dive with you into automations because I believe that every entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, founder, doesn't matter, but every business needs to work with automations, or better said, the automations need to work for you because it will save you time, money, and of course it will allow you to have more freedom. Why? Because every single task can be automated. Well, maybe not every single task, but a lot of tasks that you're currently having on your plate. And that's something I want to touch on because I believe that we as entrepreneurs could be having a lot more freedom than we're currently having. And yes, I'm still building that out for myself. But I think it's very good for you to understand what parts you can start automating yourself as well. So first of all, as I start talking about automations, there are a lot of different things that falling into that as well. Workflow automations is one of the words, the keywords that's being used for that. But next to that is systems, it's marketing automation. But you're also hearing a lot more sales automation, lead automation. There are so many things that are in combination with automation that with the upcoming of AI, of course, it's going to be even stronger because automation is driven on data. It's driven on systems. And that's something that we need to utilize more. And I'm not saying it should be doing everything for you because there's certain things that just need that additional personal touch. This is what you see a lot with chatbots. Chatbots that are currently only using AI are missing that human touch. Sometimes you need to have somebody that has that good conversation on the phone perhaps, or needs to dig deeper into the database of like where it's calling to make sure that everything is being handled accordingly. Well, of course, there are many things that might need a personal approach, but there are even more things that don't need a personal approach. So if we're talking about automations, and like I said, workflow automation, if you're just looking at your business, at the different workflows that you currently have running, what do I mean with a workflow? The different tasks you're doing. What are you currently doing? Let's say you're doing something in terms of lead generation. You're having somebody on LinkedIn and you're messaging people. How do you make sure they are coming into your CRM, in your customer sheets or anything like that? How do you track your current data? Well, there's so many other things. If you have a new person joining in your team or in your business, then how do you make sure they are onboarded properly? There's also tasks you need to do for that. And how easy would it be for you if you can automate that process? So I've written down a list here because I was thinking like, I can't remember all of these things, but I will just name a few for you to think about what you could be automating, what different tasks or what different workflows, because you might not be thinking in workflows. You might be thinking in single tasks. But I can tell you one thing, in everything that's happening in your business, a few tasks back to back means that it's actually a workflow. For somebody to be onboarded, there are a few different tasks that need to happen in order to have a successful onboarding. So in that case, you could call that a workflow, which is basically a series of tasks. And if we're then talking about workflow automation, it's about automating that single workflow with the different tasks in it. So I have it here, like lead generation could be one of them. Like, how do you store it? How do you make sure that the follow-up is being done correctly? But what if that's happening on your socials and then they're moving to email? How can you facilitate that? And how can you make the most use out of that? Onboarding, as I just explained, like how do you make sure that that process is going smooth and well? And maybe you're not that much needed, but yes, of course, with the onboarding, there's also the personal connection needed, which could be in a single meeting. Sales pipeline. So how do you make sure that you track the clients, but also or potential clients in this case, but how do you also make sure that you send them a follow-up, or you make sure that the quote is being sent correctly, or anything like that? Everything can be moved along, especially if you're working in a system, in a sales system, maybe like HubSpot, and you want to move after a certain conversation. Somebody needs to move to a different stage. Well, that's a task you need to do. Well, what if you could just automate that? It saves you maybe a minute, but what if you have 100 clients in your business? Then what does that say? You can save a lot of time. Well, it's also for, of course, your financial stuff and making sure invoices being sent correctly, but also the follow-up is being done correctly. And then I'm not just saying like the follow-up, like the first reminder, second reminder, but what if the finance people, the finance in the team actually gets like something in their calendar saying like, you need to call this person because they are overdue or something like that. I'm just coming up with it now, but you get the point. There's so many things you could do. Inventory, social media, like DM automation, one of the bigger things going on as well. How can you make sure you keep on following up? How can you make sure that you have that when a DM comes in, that you actually take action on it? And it could also mean that when you get a DM, because your email or your notifications are being turned off because you want to keep a certain focus, that maybe a summary of that is being sent to your email on a daily basis so you know what you need to catch up on. Could be just an idea. Customer support, same thing. Customer support probably is more of a chatbot, but still, if you're having a chatbot that and people are actually interacting with that, you need to make sure you're also storing that data, of course, into your own system so you can reuse that or utilize that at a later moment in time when maybe the client has another question, and then you can always refer back if that's needed. So, like I said, there are so many things you can be thinking about if we're thinking about tasks, workflows, and definitely if you want to automate that. So in this stage, there are quite a few tools that you could be using for this to do. And I'm not going to share all the tools that are out there because a lot of them might not make the biggest sense to you. But what I will share with you is the no-code tools that I can actually advise you that you would be choosing in this case. And there's basically two of these systems that actually work great, which is Make on the one side and Zapier on the other side. I sometimes say it wrong, but it's Make and Zapier. Well, both of them are no-code automation tools. So they basically make sure that you can easily connect your system with another one of your system and make sure that processes or tasks being done, making sure that data is going from maybe your DM, so from your social media into your CRM, or is going from your CRM to the finance system. Doesn't really matter. There are so many connections available that you can at least make sure that that's happening. One of the other things which I have been working with a lot is like the combination of Typeform, Calendly, and get that into something like ActiveCampaign, which is a marketing automation provider. But the same for that is systems like Customer.io, which are more like a CDP, and they need to connect with maybe your Facebook advertising or your Google advertising. But also on the other side, you want them to be connected to your actual CRM or maybe a finance part. So yes, the in-between, which are Make or Zapier in this case, are two tools that allow you to do this quite easily. And I'm not saying you should be doing it all yourself, but having a first idea on how you could be doing this and how it could help you out, even with tools where you don't need to code. As I said, no code tools. That means you don't need to be a developer anymore. You don't need to be a coder anymore. When I was working as a head of product, I was dealing with a development team with over 30 people at some point. And we also had an engineering department, which was basically all needed to get certain connections up and running and anything like that. So back then we really needed developers and coders to actually do this for us. If these tools were there at the state they are currently in, would be there, 8 years ago, that would have been a lot easier. But no, they are not there. They weren't there at that moment in time. This also shows you that there's so much opportunity and that you actually yourself could be automating every single task that's currently going on. Again, as I said, I'm not saying you should, but at least think about it. Look to your own schedule. Look at everything you put on your to-do list. Put on every single task that's ongoing, and especially the tasks that you're doing on a daily basis. Because is it actually something you should be doing? Or is it more something that you think you should be doing, but it could be something that's automated? It could be something that at least is not being part of you anymore. Because one of the things, and especially if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or a founder, trust me, there are 100 different other things you could be doing instead of just that tasks. And why? Because you should be focused on the things that only you can do. If you need to write a vision for your company, then sure, yes, that's you. But if you need to make sure that certain data gets from, I don't know, your DM to your CRM, no, that's not you. And maybe you think you need to be doing that because the DM is in your personal social account and therefore you only have access to that. And therefore you think, I need to get that person into the CRM, and you're wrong. And this is maybe a very easy example, but there are so many other things that if you're gonna look and if you're actually gonna track and write down every single task you're doing on a daily basis, just do this for 2 or 3 days. Make it like a little challenge to yourself. Just for 3 days, write down every single task you're doing. And from that, then you can decide, okay, what am I now gonna automate? Which things are coming back on a daily basis? Maybe you do this even on a weekly basis. Just have 1 day a week, you note down everything you're doing and then see which things are you doing on a recurring base, which you basically, could be automated. Well, that's more of the idea of what workflow automation is. So it's really about making sure that the different tasks that you need to be doing in order to get someone up to speed, to become a client, to become a more happy client, or maybe do a win back or anything, all these things require different tasks. If you want someone to become a customer, they need to require a few different tasks in order to get there. First, you need to send them an email, and then you need to get them into a meeting. Then you discuss everything. And based on that, you will send a recap. You will send an invoice. You will do a follow-up. You will do different tasks, but a lot of these tasks are in one single workflow. Because in that workflow, and yes, certain tasks could be taken out there because at that point they were not needed. But if you have those different tasks and you see that as one workflow from someone becoming a lead to become a customer, then that workflow, you can see what can I optimize there. Or what can I optimize and automate? And that's what we call workflow automation. So with all these things, with workflow automation, systems, automation, marketing automation, sales automation, and whatever automation you can think about, really, trust me, start automating your business. Because one thing that I've learned over the past, at least 5 years, but maybe even longer because I'm playing this game a little bit longer, before I was actually starting out myself, and this was more where I was head of product, I've seen so many things being automated that work so great and so well that it will actually put your complete business on autopilot. And next to that, it will also give you that growth that you are actually looking for. Because in this way, you can keep pushing it without getting your team burned out or getting basically anybody burned out, even including yourself. That's the last thing you want. So make sure you're going through it. Make sure you put your business on autopilot. And actually, if you're doing that, you will get more data. You will see what's going good and what's going bad. You can see directly where you need to improve, and that's where the growth is kicking in. Because then you have an actual rocket ship that you can put on autopilot, and then everything is limitless. You get the freedom back, you get the time back, the money back, everything that you were looking for as a business owner. Trust me, I have been through this with many different other companies, with many different other founders. We had some great successes, and I can tell you with everything in my heart saying that this is something that I believe every entrepreneur, every business owner needs in their life. So if you're not doing it yet, start doing that. If you need any help, let me know. Well, this was one of probably a lot of other videos that I will be creating about marketing automation, workflow automation, systems, any kind of automation. So if you're up for that, And if you're looking to scale up your business, put it on autopilot and make sure it's gonna work for you rather than you working for the business, then hit the subscribe, just hit the like as well if you of course enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments what you think, because this will be very helpful for me as well to create more videos. But next to that, also, if there's something you're stuck on, just let it know in the comments as well. I'm happy to help you out and make sure you get this working for you, and like make your complete business working for you rather than you working for the business. I have been there and I would never go back again. So that was it for now. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully see you in the next video.